All right. So we are definitely getting silly today. Um, I think we all need it. I don't know about you, but everything's fine. So, right? So, welcome to Transit Talk, and I'm Kathy Bochonko, and my friend Silly Jess Tilly is here, and we are just having fun with these transits because what else are you going to do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of intense, right? So we've been doing this thing where we've been talking about, show the energies, and then we decided it'd be fun to show up as the energies. And so as I was thinking about this and contemplating it and writing my blog yesterday, I used the analogy of a fire coming through and just kind of clearing out everything that is not healthy enough, so the kind of in a forest, how you clear out the fire and the new growth can come in. And so I was thinking about how tired I was another thing. And I was also thinking about our many conversations, Jess, about my robe and how I have this thing where everything is about being, yes, comfortable, but it's also what's more polished, what's more vibrant. And I always talk about how I can't get rid of my robe because I can never find one that I like well enough. Well, the energies today are that I'm representing is gate six, the earth. We're grounded in this sense of what do you call it? We're grounded in this energy of gate six, this friction, right? So what starts fire? Friction. This energy was perfect for my robe because I've had this robe a long time. And I remember one other sleep deprived morning where I got up and I went to turn on the kettle, and we have a gas stove and it was on the front burner, and I was leaned into it and I turned the igniter on, and how it does that thing where it kind of goes poof. And I literally set the front of this robe on fire. And I quickly undid the belt, threw it to the ground, and it immediately extinguished. And I picked it up thinking surely it was ruined. And you know what? All the little fuzzies had burned off and it looked like a brand new robe. And I was like, what a perfect analogy. I'm finally going to wear the robe that we always talk about. That you're like, show up in the robe. And then this morning, my daughter sent me this meme. And I was like, that's perfect. This is the energy that we are in. So anyway, that's why I'm sitting here in my robe and all this for gate six. Hi Jess, what's with all your pretty paint?
Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. So today I am representing crisis. So gate 36. Want to start real quick with sharing my screen because I love to share.
I want to look at your face while you tell us
You want,
about your paint
you
though.
want to look at my, okay. So I love to play. I love to dress up. I love to do all sorts of fun things like this. Fun fact, I used to work for a company doing promotional modeling, and this is literally what we got to do for work was we got to go to like different events and dress up depending on what it was. It was so much fun. So really, really living in and anchoring that joy in your life, the things that bring you that joy. But right now we are feeling a massive, I know I've been feeling especially a massive amount of crisis. What is this crisis 36, right? So we'd spoken about 36 before. As you can see here, the North Node has been in 36, right? And the South Node has been in 6 friction. And now we've transited into the sun and earth as well. So the North Node, where we're going, South Node, where we're coming from. And now I don't know about you all, but I am feeling this 36 to like the nth degree. So we're looking over here. The 36 is in the solar plexus. This is about the emotional wave, right? And this is kind of, again, that wave, that hope to pain, hope to pain. And so for me today, after getting so many beautiful suggestions from people about what crisis looks like for them, what felt really good for me was warrior energy.
Mm.
And so, looking at the dynamic that we have, where in more of that feminine energy, you have on the one side, you have that warrior energy, right? But then on the other side, you have like that victim energy. And so, really being mindful that hope to pain kind of dynamic as well. With crisis, what this brings up for me is I'm going to bring you the experiences. I'm going to bring up and show all of the things in your life that are uncomfortable so that you can start to look. and say, okay, this is the thing. It's now uncomfortable enough to change. It's now giving you that urge to go, I'm going to shift this. This is something I'm going to let go of, right? And so, just really coming into what does this energy look like? So for me, it's that warrior energy. It's like the Kali energy, right? With the sword, like cutting off, like, okay, I'm done with this thing. Okay, this thing is coming up for me. And there's a lot of feeling in me of fear. There's a lot of fears coming up. There's a lot of this feeling of inadequacy in different places where I have inexperience that is coming up, and feeling that and realizing that this is really, really uncomfortable, right? Like just the human experience sometimes is like uncomfortable, but especially right now, this feels super uncomfortable. And sitting with that, what does this feel like? Why does this feel uncomfortable in my body? What are the stories that are coming up with this, right? And so to work through the 36, to work through this experience, to have this experience, to move us, because if you look at, as we're going through all the different gates, right, where are we going to next? Innocence, right? We're going to the 25. So moving through, what is this experience that we can have that potential, right, to shift, that potential to change, to start again a new chapter in innocence, in that beauty, right? And so this reminds me of, have you ever seen the movie Moana?
No, in fact, it's one of the few Disney princess movies I haven't seen. I just saw an ad for it last night. That's so funny. I was thinking, oh, I really need to watch this. It was like an ad for a Disney Hulu combo, and I was like, oh, I've never seen that one. I need to maybe watch that.
Yes, yes. Okay, so
It came
maybe
out
this is,
after my daughter was like past the age where she watched movies with me like that, you know.
oh yeah. I've watched Disney since even before kids. I I used to go to Disney even before. I think, yeah, for my 25th birthday, I was like, let's go to Disney. I've
My
always,
my husband and I went and saw Aladdin in the theaters together on a date, and that's why I
oh,
was like, oh, I knew he was a good guy.
yes,
Do that.
yes. Actually, one of my best friends, we met when we were both doing a study abroad in France, and we were both like singing Disney songs, and I was like, okay, this is a good friendship.
Right?
So funny. So in Moana, for anybody who hasn't seen Moana, it's perfect that you haven't. So it's the story, right, of Moana, and she's going out to get the heart of Tahiti, and she's going out on this voyage. She's on this epic quest, and she has her direction. She knows where she's going. And what happens during she's on the boat, right? She's trying to navigate. She doesn't really know how to sail, and she's trying to find her way to the island to find oh goodness, what is his name? Maui. And so she goes, okay, Ocean, like I need a little bit of help. And so she drifts off to sleep, and suddenly there's this huge storm, and the waves are going all over. It's raining, there's thunder. And she's like, what is this? What is happening right now? This is not what I asked for. And she gets really upset with the ocean. She's like, I asked for help. And so she goes through this whole like scenario of chaos to then wake up on the island, the exact island, the exact place she had to be, right?
Yeah.
And so, really sitting with, maybe, yes, it's uncomfortable. Oh my God. Like right now, it is so uncomfortable sitting with whatever everybody's coming up with, whatever is coming through for you right now that's bringing that discomfort. That maybe this is the thing that has the chance to take you where you need to be. And
Yeah.
trusting that it's such a deep piece of trust, and trusting within yourself, right, to move through that. So so for me, that's why that's this warrior energy, that like I am not going to be reactive. I'm coming from like a calm place. You know that warrior stance where
Mhm.
there's like chaos and everything's going on in the war, and they're just standing there and they're ready because their energy is very directed. It's very mindful of where it's going, what it's fighting for, what is worth fighting for, right? What are those things? Which brings up Venus retrograde. What are the things, right, that are important to us right now? And so starting to sit in that energy of not reactive. Not to say I wasn't reactive. I'll share that story in a minute. Me in Costco wasn't pretty. And so anybody who is feeling more reactive right now, just coming back to my screen share real quick. Part of this is asking us to be very compassionate with ourselves, right? Have that compassion for this human experience. And right now we have this activated, the manifesting channel, right? And so the not self of that manifesting is anger, right? It's feeling that anger within you and noticing that and really starting to shift it from reacting, right? Being reactionary, and then going into that place of that warrior energy of responding to something. And, getting yourself to that place. Like yesterday, I was like, I can't, my head right now, all the things. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go do a CBD massage. I need to work with my nervous system, like getting yourself prepared and being aware that right now it is a lot, right? What are those things that you're doing to come back within, to find yourself, to step out of that reactionary place just a little bit, so that you can start to step more into that responsive place. And that starts with finding that calm. Andrea, hi, I love the paint. Thank you. It actually brought me so much joy to do this and do the braids. I was like, this is too much fun.
Yeah. Andrew also said that this 36 is, I'm assuming you're talking about the 36 when you said that this is your bridging gate for your splits. So
Mhm.
yeah, that can be a highly conditioning
Interesting. Is
energy.
that, are you is that your one split? Are you a triple split, or are you I have the 59 hanging. Yes. Yes.
Oh, so it is the 36 and you have the, okay. Yeah, so
So the
that's a
six
lot.
is the
That's a
subtle
lot
light.
for you. Yeah, I have the 59 hanging 3 times. So on my undefined sacral. So this gate 6 is some very triggering energy for me at times to really, um, yeah.
Yeah,
And so,
same.
well,
Yeah.
yours defines your solar plexus. Mine defines my sacral.
Yeah.
So, it's giving you
Yeah,
a,
so
a
much.
different thing. Yeah. So the
Oh.
59.
Yeah, so bringing some, that's beautiful awareness, Andrea, especially because it is the single split. If that's your one bridging gate, that's the thing that in your body you feel like, if I only had what this piece is, right? If this was the thing. And I would love to hear how that shows up for you.
Yeah, if you feel like coming on camera, please do so. I understand if you can't, but
Yeah,
we'll
well,
try to
thank
read
you.
the comments here for others to share along.
Yeah.
Um, but I wanted to say that that was such a beautiful explanation, Jess, and I'm really glad that you did that because I have serious brain fog today, and I wrote about um, it with my blog a little bit last night too, which I stayed up way too late, and I realized this morning the irony of the fact that I stayed up ungodly late, trying really hard to finish. And I did post the blog before I went to bed, so I was able to share the link. But I didn't have the energy to get the email to send out to my list with the blog or whatever. And I realized the irony of me staying up so late to post this blog, in which part of what I'm talking about is how sleep deprived I am. And I was like, when am I
The
gonna,
robe.
when are we
It's
gonna learn,
robe
right?
energy. It's perfect robe
Right?
energy. And
Right?
I have to tell you, I have been like calling this in. I'm like, come on, robe. Come on, robe. I need to
I knew
see
you
this
would be
robe.
happy. I knew you'd be happy because we have talked about my robe often. So, yeah, because it's definitely not. In fact, I just recently ordered I sometimes do Stitch Fix. I don't know if you've ever done it. And I was looking at my stuff I had in there as what I do and don't wear. And I was like, oh, what is that? What did I say about my colors? And I specifically say in there, no brown. Right. And I'm like, here I am in my brown robe that you know, whatever. It's my big, it's like a big teddy bear and it's fine. This doesn't, is almost isn't like clothes to me. It's almost like a piece of furniture. It's like a bed that I wear. Right.
Love it.
So
I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting it to be really ugly. And it's
it's just,
not.
it's, no,
It's
it's fine. It's fine. It's just not really me. Like you wouldn't go, oh, well, I'm going to buy Kathy a robe and think, but my husband bought it for me and he really knew that I wanted a comfy cotton terry cloth robe, and those are hard to find even when I've had this robe. Do you know this robe is probably as old as my 24-year-old daughter? That's how old it is, right? But it's that kind of thing that just lasts forever. It's like it survived the fire, right? You know, so,
literally.
right? Like how could I not keep it, right? It just has,
Oh.
yeah. So, but I wanted to say that when I was writing this blog and really just sitting with this energy, it's so prevalent everywhere you look because not only do we have this 35, 36 that's been defined this whole time in all these different layers, right? It seems like every time I write a transit report, I'm talking about some new way, either the 35 or the 36 or both are now being defined in a different way. So
Mhm.
serious lessons on this emotional manifestation of bringing things into fruition through our emotional experiences. But we also have this gate 22 that is consistently defined with it because Saturn's there now. So even though we just moved out of the sun in gate 22 and we had Saturn and the sun in gate 22 line 6 on Wednesday at the yesterday at the same time.
Mhm.
And that was super intense energy because, it's like highlighting all of it. And so this 22 is being carried in because that definite, this 22, the 6 is all coming through this emotional manifestation, right now. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And that doesn't, it's easy to like think, oh, make it stop, make it go away. And I think it's important that, this meme is kind of a joke about like denying the fire around you. But in a sense, it's also realizing it is fine. It's going to take us where to the shore where we need to go. And we've been not getting there on our own, right? We have not been able to get there without this fire to kind of, fire is energy, right? That's how combustion engines and all sorts of energy comes from fire. So we're burning a lot of shit down.
Which is beautiful. I want to share some of the things people said that reminded me of the volcano one. Um, that it's just it has the potential to be such a beautiful energy. It's not an easy energy, right? Going, okay, this isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. This is very uncomfortable within me. Um, but finding the beauty in that fire that it gets to burn down and remove the things in your life that aren't necessarily supposed to be there, right? And this really is calling attention to us. Am I in my body? Am I feeling the things that I'm feeling? Like if you think about, if you look at your background, he's sitting there with the fire around him, but we have such a tendency to feel uncomfortable feelings and then numb. What does that numbing look like? Facebook scrolling. I love reading books, like reading books, going on like rabbit hole searches for like quantum physics. That's been my latest rabbit hole. Where are we not sitting with the discomfort and moving through it and feeling it in our bodies and going, it's okay and it's safe, finding that safety in our bodies and that nervous system again, regulation. And I feel like I have a decently well-regulated nervous system, but even going and getting a massage made me realize how deeply dysregulated I was that, I'm going to go do like a float tank, the sensory deprivation, because I can feel in my body right now. Like I feel that dysregulation. I can feel right now that there's a lot moving on a cellular level too, right? And
Yeah.
so, going, yes, it's happening. Yes, it's safe. And then what is it that I can do to support myself through this and slow down? How do I slow down a little bit more right now so that I'm not necessarily in that reactive state? It's more that responsive state coming from the essence of you, coming back to that calm, collected warrior state. So just to share, when I asked a couple people, because I was like, what am I doing for crisis? What does crisis even look like? I had such a wonderful laugh at all the responses. And this just kind of shows the beauty of our different experiences. And so Sabrina, I met Sabrina in Ibiza, and she has 36 in her South Node and her design Earth. So that's her grounding. And so she said, I'm the queen of crisis. And she said, what about dressing up like a volcano? Oh, nice. You have it. Yeah, 36 conscious moon emotions. Would love to hear how that's showing up for you. Absolutely. Isn't it so interesting how people who have it in their chart are called to the ones that we're speaking to it? I absolutely love it. And so what she said about the volcano was so beautiful. She said complete destruction, right? It's this destructive energy, but magma is a fertilizer for new life,
Mhm.
right? The
Yeah,
best wineries grow on volcanic lands, that fertile, rich soil, right? So coming back to this idea of maybe we're in the ocean right now and the ocean's not playing nice with us and we're like, what is going on? But trusting it's going to get us to that fertile land, to where we need to be. And then Ebony mentioned, she said, I call this the human storm, right? Dressing for all weather. It's the storm of emotions. It's the storm of everything moving, but finding that beauty in the movement. And Marjorie, she made me laugh so hard. She said, crisis is a jumpsuit.
I read that.
Oh my God, I laughed so hard.
Read it for
I love it.
everyone. It was perfect. Only
It was
women are going to really get it, and young women won't really. Well, they'll understand part of it, but it's worse when you're old.
I love rompers. I live in
Right,
rompers. And so I deeply feel this. Okay. So she said crisis is a jumpsuit with a sweater over it and then a jacket. Ugh, having to pee and having to remove all of that and
right,
then sit half naked on a public toilet because, well, it's a full body jumpsuit. Anyway, I always feel a little stressed. Like, where am I setting all these layers?
right.
When I
And
get
there's
in,
no hook in that bathroom, right? In a
there's never,
bathroom with no hook, right?
there's never a hook. There's never a hook, right? And
Right,
where am I going to put all of these layers when I get in the stall, right? I'm trying to hold the top half of my jumpsuit so it doesn't drag on the ground, bathroom
right,
floor. Oh,
right,
right? Anyway, I love clothes, so rarely is it a crisis, but that one puts me in a tiny bit of panic.
right.
Right? I love it. And I know I
The
laugh.
disco ball oracle is on me. So yes, this is the
Spot
truth,
on.
right?
Spot on. Absolutely. And so, again, sharing that even if you're not here with us live, share with us what is your experience
Right,
of this? Like in the comments later, in the group, on the YouTube,
right.
wherever, however, we value your input and your experience of this so, so, so much. I loved yours, the wardrobe crisis. It usually involves throwing a lot of clothes around the room. And I seriously contemplated, I was like, I know that feeling. I was like, I'm going to do the call from my closet in the
Right?
chaos of everything everywhere.
Yeah. And to me, that wardrobe crisis usually means everything in my closet is now on the floor or bed of my room. Not so much anymore, but I used to be. It used to be like getting ready to go out.
Yeah.
You'd come home and you'd go, "Oh, I'm now, you had a little fun and you're like maybe a little tipsy, all right, forget it. I was drunk."
Yeah.
Um, I'd come home drunk and there'd be stuff all over my bed. And
Yeah.
especially when I lived in the studio apartment, oh my God, it would be like, and forget ever bringing anybody back to your apartment after you've left after a wardrobe crisis, right? You're like, "Oh no, sorry." Right?
Oh, that's too funny. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. So Andrea said that she can't turn her camera on, but Andrea, if you wanted to unmic, you said that that one wouldn't be impossible for you. So if you had some thoughts you wanted to share on any of this, this would be, feel free to unmic and share with us.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your experience of it. And Andrea is a 4/6 emotional projector.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hi guys.
Hey.
Yeah, for that just being like the gate that bridges my split, like I definitely feel myself reaching for other people. Like I like to kind of sit in other people's crisis. Um, so and honestly, something I can be pretty good at as long as I'm like at an okay place in my emotional wave. If I'm low, it's like I can kind of drown in it with them. But if I'm good, then I can oftentimes kind of, try to work through that and be like, okay, let's pull back a little bit. But I definitely feel myself reaching for that. And if I look at a lot of different people that I have connection to, I
You're
also can.
you're a little garbled, but I'm curious, what's your emotional wave? You said what channel do you defines your
1949.
okay. So yeah, that's all about the tribal stuff. So you are
Yes.
you a bit of a are you a little bit of a problem solver then? You like other people's crisis because you're able to kind of be the helper in there?
I definitely, yeah, yeah, yeah. I would definitely agree to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So Thanks. That's interesting. Yeah. So this when you have so you have the 36 undefined, but you have the 35 defined. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so when you're around that so this 36 transit has been going on for a couple of years now for you because we had Neptune
Yeah.
there. So you've had that bridge for a while. So it'll be interesting when we leave this nodal environment, which I think is in a when's this nodal shift happening? Do you know?
Let's
I'll have
ask
to
neutrino design.
I know she's always so quick with that. I'll let you ask because that will be really interesting to observe and see how that plays out. Are there people in your day-to-day life that have that 36? Like, do you have a partner or a child or someone who has that 36 defined?
Most, a lot of people, honestly, I will see like they have even like the 36-6, either they have it in their conscious or unconscious sun and earth, or that's their nodal placements on, either conscious or unconscious. So yeah, I definitely see it.
Oh, it's
I
here
mean,
until June 13th. You got a while.
yeah, yeah,
It's
I'm like, I don't
3 months.
even
Yeah,
know if I know how I feel without it because it's been, in
yeah,
transit for
that's
so long. So
interesting.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to reevaluate whenever I don't have that defined.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be
Find your 36 people.
yeah.
Right.
And
Looking for a friend who has gate 36.
it'd be interesting how you feel with someone who just has the 36 without the 35, so that you're not
Yes.
feeling that compromise at all in there. So, I mean, nothing wrong with having people with the 35, 36 in your life, but it's always interesting to see how how that feels differently. So, yeah, and then I'm sorry for I'm trying to look at the chat here. So we also I don't know how to say your name. Is it Jonathan? Did I? Yep, Jonathan?
Jonathan. Yeah.
Jonathan. Okay, if you feel like turning your camera on, feel free to come on camera, but you said 36 is your conscious moon. So actually you guys should be friends because then when the transit goes away, you'll have that. Do you have the 35 defined?
No,
Okay, well there you go. You guys are an electromagnetic connection there. So good friendship.
Ah, I love it. I love it. That's so perfect.
Right?
Also, Rebecca says, greeting ladies, happy eclipse season. Eclipse season, yes.
Oh, Rebecca, I read your post about the eclipse. Rebecca is a brilliant astrologer, just so you guys know. So
Oh,
go
yeah.
follow her. Um, and Rebecca Hansen. So she is somebody who I always like to read her stuff. So she posted some stuff about the eclipse. So if you have anything you want to add to what we're saying,
Yeah, and
feel
there's
free. I know
definitely,
she's a second line, doesn't like to really jump on camera, but if you want to put anything in the comments for us,
yeah, type anything, absolutely, because we're in the
I'll be good.
equinox, right? Going into to spring. So we're getting to that time period of that transition, which also coming to where our moon is. And then Lisa said hello. Hello, Lisa. Thanks for being here with us.
So, do you want to talk a little? Well, you've been talking a little bit about the six. Do we want to talk about, I mean, the 36? Do you want to talk a little bit more about the six? Because this is where the so the lunar eclipse is taking place. The Earth will be in gate 6, so that's where the full moon always takes place.
Yeah.
And so this being an eclipse is considered a blood moon, which I think really goes even more with the fire analogy we're doing here, right?
As
Because
a warrior, right?
the moon will actually look like it's on fire. And I'm sure there's probably some warrior ceremonies that usually take place for that. That would be interesting to look into, like traditions that cultures do typically during
Mm.
lunar eclipses and that sort of thing, because it's a powerful, fiery energy. And
So, one of my best friends, I don't know if you have a person like this in your life, but they just know you and they just know how to reach out and what to say. And she texted me the other day. She's like, Friday, we normally go to the beach on Friday mornings. She's like, Friday, we're doing our new moon ceremony. We're working through all this stuff. Here's this. And I'm like, boom, yes, that's it. That's exactly what I needed. And she's just like on top of it. And so she brought that up for the new moon. And I felt that. And what I'm feeling right now, something that we
for
like
the
to
past
do.
new moon, or because this is a full moon?
Not new moon. Thank you. Full moon, full moon, full
Okay.
moon, not new moon. Oh my goodness, my
All
brain.
right, brain fog out. It's a thing.
Yeah. I'm so tired, and normally I'm not tired, but I think there's a lot of stuff I know there's a lot of stuff shifting in my life right now. I feel that on a very cellular level. Also, like the
Mhm.
essences I've been working with, there's a lot of stuff moving. So honoring that. But anyway, so we like to go to the beach. The beach is right by us here in Florida. And something we like to do, and I'd like to open it up to anybody else if you'd like to be part of this, is writing what we're releasing in the sand. So, like writing a word, and then the water comes and it washes away.
Wow.
So, if you're feeling something specifically that you'd like to share, I can write it down and then just take a little video for you to connect in with it, because I know not everybody has the beach, but there's just something
You could write it in the snow, maybe. I don't know if
in the snow, but I don't know if something's going to take it away. So, if anything's coming up for you right
what
now,
you could write it in the snow and then lay down to a snow angel on it,
just
right?
send the dog
It's
to run
not the same
somewhere.
as the beach, but I'm
It's
trying here.
not. No, 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 no. But so if you tell me your word and
Okay.
say the thing, I haven't had the clarity yet on what the thing is that I'm releasing. Right now I'm thinking the thing that I'm thinking is resistance. So if my word was resistance, I'd write resistance. So if that was your word, potentially I could write that for you and take a quick video. And that you could sit with that in the energy of it tomorrow. And Andrea and Jonathan and anybody else, Lisa, Rebecca, anybody else who sees this later, if you get that to me before tomorrow morning, Eastern time, 8 a.m., I can make a quick clip for you and just share that to help connecting in with, feeling the energy, feeling it in the sand, feeling it in your life. It's written in the sand, but it's not there as a forever, right? It's not a part of who you are, and getting to feel it moving out of your life. There's just something very, very, very special, I find, about doing that. And the thing is, whatever you're sharing, it's never just you feeling it, right? If you are releasing something, somebody else somewhere is experiencing that and needs that same experience, right? That same thing to let go of. So welcoming anybody who wants to share that, and definitely, Kathy, let me know what your thing is that you feel like you're letting go of with this full moon
I'm
crisis.
trying to let go of the earworm I have in my mind right now. And you know, when you have a song in your head, but you can only hear one part, and you know the whole song, but you can just hear the da 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 da
Yeah,
part.
yeah,
And then I am the warrior.
yeah.
And that song is there, and I keep hearing it while I'm thinking, but the only line I can think is I am the warrior. It's a beat. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't find the rest of it, but it's driving me crazy. And it's an older song. It's like a maybe 80s, 90s song. So if anybody, um,
By
did,
Scandal,
no,
1984. Google's telling me I am the warrior. The warrior, Patti Smith.
that might be it. What is it? What's the lyrics? That might be it, Patty.
Let's see.
Hmm. That's all right. I love the way that you just right away go like that's, you don't wait around, whereas I sit there and try to figure it out. Maybe that's the difference between my open head and your defined head. You're like, I don't know. You don't know, so you just look it up. I sit there and try to, do I know? Do I know? Is it in there somewhere? I know this. I know. And it's just so funny the difference in the energies, right?
That is
So,
so funny. I love that. I
yeah.
wonder if that's also my response, because sometimes people say something and I'm like, okay, cool. But you're like, you
Yeah.
say this. Maybe it's my 19, because my 19's like, you need this. Okay, activate, find out the answer.
Yep, exactly. Right.
It
So
says, shooting at the walls of heartache,
that's
bang,
it.
bang, I am
Bang,
the
bang. That's
warrior.
the part I couldn't think of, shooting at the walls of heartache.
How do you sing it? I need to hear the song.
I'm not going to sing it. I need somebody, you're going to have to find it and play it because
Will
there's,
it let me play it, or is it going to like X us out because we don't
I
have
don't know. You can try.
copyright for it?
No, it won't
I'll play
exit
it
out. It's
later.
just whether or not you can hear it. So
I'm that
anyway,
I'm that person who
everyone,
sings in Costco. So
oh, tell me the Costco story. You said you had a Costco story about conflict and crisis. So
yes.
tell us that before we get on some other part.
Okay,
Love the
real
stories.
quick. Jonathan said, is 36 of crisis similar to the 29 in the abysmal? I've both. I can't differentiate those two.
Mm.
That's a good question.
See them as very different personally because one is on the solar plexus, the 36 that we've been talking about, And the 29 is on the sacral, and the 29 is the gate of saying yes, right? And so it's, or no, it's this gate of what am I here to commit to? What, and once you do, there's a lot of people pleasing in that. And that can be there in the 36, maybe a little bit. But the gate at 36 is always looking for that emotional experience. There's a lot of, there's a lot of jokes out there about the gate 36 and sex, right? Because everybody's always looking for that emotional experience that, like, what am I going to do to make this feeling happen, right? Whereas 29 is more about what am I committing to? What am I giving my energy to? What's important, what's worth that commitment,
The
right?
the perseverance is
Yeah.
more to me like the 29. It's like
Yeah.
persevering through those
Yeah.
things where I feel like crisis is just like, good luck.
And crisis is like really looking for that adventure, that like how, because if you think about the way the body graph works, I don't know if you want to share your screen again since you have it there, we've got the 36 coming up off of the solar plexus, going to the 35 towards the throat, but it's kind of a continuation of that 4130, right? So it's this channel, it's all about experiences. What did I imagine through the 41? Okay, yeah, that's the 29 she's circling now.
Oh, 41, yeah.
Go down to the 41. So what did I imagine? And how did that connect to my desires, which is the 30? And then coming up off of that is the 36 going to the throat. And so that's all about how does that all come about in an experience, like, right? It's connecting to that, which continues on into the 35 of really speaking to that experience and making it happen. But what's interesting is as I said that, and I talk about how the 30, it goes up to the 36, the polarity though is also on the solar plexus, and that's the 6, which goes to the solar plexus. So there's this whole way that that kind of all works together. So, but the 29 is pointing towards the sense of self, right? So it's the energy from the sacral to the 46, this embodiment gate there. So it's different, but there are themes that are going to run in anybody's chart, and you will see how all those gates come together in those themes. So you probably feel a strong theme of commitment to the emotional experiences in a way that might really bring those together for you. That would be the kind of thing that's always hard to unpack when you're just reading. When you just read about the energies of one particular gate, it's hard to see the whole big picture. And that's why readings are so important, because, someone can really bring that energy together to help you really see the themes, and the conundrums and the contradictions that become your life thing. Like for me, there's so much this theme of how do I be who I am and be that in relationship, because they're both so strongly woven into my chart that it's easy for me to have spent much of my life trying to go back and forth between, okay, making people happy and being in relationship, and no, I'm going to be who I'm here to be. And right now, this energy and these transits with all this other stuff going on too, with the Venus retrograde, and now the way Mercury is layering into this, there's so much energy here of our relationships are key. Like they're such an important learning ground. I don't want to say proving ground because they're not proving anything, but they're a place for us to really unpack a lot of our deepest wounding, our places where we resist things about ourselves, our tendency to give away parts of ourselves. And this week I recorded a podcast with Richard Corbett, and it'll release on Monday. And I even mentioned it in the blog because we had this beautiful conversation about this energy that's going on, where our love, the places where we have deep love, are the places where we do our deepest work and really enter into our deepest wounds in order to heal them. And there's so much that's coming up right now because this energy is all kind of just like saying, here's your crap you haven't dealt with yet. Here it is. Here it is. And we keep doing, I've given the analogy before it of like when the wave comes and we try to put the surfboard up to block it, it just knocks us down, right? So all this stuff is coming at us in our relationships. And I had a situation in my own life where I literally had an out of body experience watching myself in my husband's face. And we are having this like completely like this kind of conversation. That's not the right word. I don't even want to say it was a fight because it was just a blow up. It was not, it was like both of us digging our heels in the and taking a stand. And I was like watching it happen from this place up here going, who the hell is that person? You are not her anymore, but yet still completely engulfed in it all, right? But what was interesting was being able to, as soon as I walked away, like immediately come back into my body and be like, no, you're not that person anymore. Whatever that was you being afraid. And that was really good that you saw where you were still afraid. And that wasn't about him, that was about you. And I was able to quickly come back around and also see how the way he was responding to me was his version of the same thing, right? And then it took away all the anger and it really turned it into this really beautiful thing. Yes, Jupiter is in gate 35 right now, Jonathan asked.
The whole
So,
thing, yeah.
yeah.
So that actually reminds me so of Costco. And I just
Yeah, I was gonna say I totally
yeah, somebody
hijacked
tell me
that and
about
took
Costco.
you.
Hold on, I gotta move. I'm sitting on my foot again. I'm doing the
Yes.
foot thing. I get so into things and I sit on my foot and then it goes to sleep and it's yeah.
Yeah, you said that happens a lot.
I'm not going to share that embarrassing story right now. So also in the intuitive human design group, there were a lot of people sharing in there like I had a blow up, I had this thing happen, I had this explosion, I felt this anger and coming back to that not self of feeling that anger through that manifesting channel. But so Costco, the kids and I went to Costco because I don't know what it is about like the Costco hot dogs and like the pizza there. I don't think it's particularly great. The kids, for whatever reason, like once a week are just like, can we please go to Costco? It might be the ice cream after. So it's like a whole adventure to go to Costco. I'm like, don't you guys want to like go to Burton's or like something else? And they're like, no, Costco. So yesterday I'm like, okay, great. Let's hop in the car. Let's go to Costco. And they're excited. I'm excited. We're walking through Costco and I like sing to my kids. Not that I sing well or I sing, but like when I talk, sometimes I talk in like a sing-songy kind of like
Your Disney princess voice.
very, yeah, like, and so we're like hopping around through there. So we get into Costco and we're so excited. And I'm like, okay. And the whole place is closed. The food court is closed. Savannah bursts into tears. She is done. She can't have her ice cream. She can't have her hot dog. And she's just like done with it because this was like such an exciting adventure. We're going, and deeply feeling all the feelings of it. And so I'm like, okay, what can we do? You know what? I can make hot dogs. We can go and buy the hot dogs. They sell the hot dogs here. We'll go get buns. No problem. We can buy some ice cream. So we walk through the store, we get the hot dogs, singing. We're like, we're making hot dogs. We're making hot dogs. And Lily's like banging on her thing as we're walking in excitement to make these hot dogs. We get to the buns. There's no buns. There's no buns. And I'm like, I don't understand. So I normally Instacart from Costco. So we walk around for a good like 5 minutes trying to find buns. There's no buns. And so we're like, we can be creative. I'm like, what are we doing? We're doing croissants. What are we doing? Lily found like these little, this French bread. And she's like, how about we chop it in half? We do this. And I'm like, great. This is great creative thinking. Awesome.
Right.
We're going to make hot dogs this way, right? And so we're just bouncing around, we're having fun. We find the ice cream, we get that, we walk out. As we're checking out, crisis again, right? So we've had the crisis of the place is closed. Then we had, and I'm like, got this. I'm like, we've got the crisis of we can't find buns. Got this, nailing it. I'm like, I'm feeling great. I'm like, okay, we're doing this. It's working out. Like Savannah's good again. So we go to check out, and then we had bought the ice cream. Well, we hadn't bought the ice cream yet, but I gave her an ice cream as we're walking through the store. It's like, eat your ice cream while we're walking to the front, no problem. And so self-checkout, when you put it on the scale, it's to the perfect weight. And obviously it wasn't the right weight because that kids had each eaten an ice cream. And so we had to wait, and it was like blinking, and suddenly every single person in the self checkout had an issue. Like somebody had alcohol, the one older gentleman couldn't figure out like how to work the till, I guess. Somebody over there had it. Like everybody had an issue. And I was like, fine, no problem. We've got this crisis. It's like crisis. And I'm like, we've got this. We've got this. It's wonderful. So Lily starts, she's like, okay, I've got the guitar. And I'm like, okay, I'm drumming this time. Savannah, what are you doing? She's dancing. Okay, so we're having fun in the checkout. Someone comes and helps us. Amazing. We start walking out, and then the kids are now in silly mode. And you know how sometimes when they
Yeah.
get in silly mode, but now this is a parking lot, and I do not mess around with parking lots like whatsoever. And I'm like, okay, hold my hand. I'm like, hold my hand. And she's like, no, I'm like, no, we're not being silly. And it was so interesting because it just triggered something within me, because I was like, absolutely not. We are not moving like from this street anywhere until like you hold my hand right now. We're done. Like, this is not funny. This is not like,
Mhm.
and then I walked to the car and I sat there and I had to take some breaths, and I was like, I'm very sorry that I spoke to you in that way. Like that wasn't kind. That was very reactive. I was like, simultaneously also, we do not mess around in parking lots, but noticing that that was when it was just too much, like all the crisis, all the things. And suddenly I was like, we were having so much fun, and then it got really intense quickly. So that was my beautiful Costco adventure. And just recognizing as like, I need to come back to a place of like more regulation. Like it shouldn't, not that it should or shouldn't, but noticing how incredibly um intense that felt, that was happening and out of my control, that it was like, this is an absolute like no, right? Yeah. So that was my Costco
That
story.
was yesterday?
That was yesterday. That was in the evening. Yeah. And then sitting in the car and going, okay, there's obviously a deeper level that I need to go in of regulation, right? That, but also compassion, that we had just navigated like four other like crisis moments
Yeah.
to get
And
there.
like, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the way that energy works, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like you think everything's okay and you deal with that and then you deal with that. And
Yeah.
then what's important is, to see that in other people so that we know when someone overreacts or reacts a way to us, we have no idea what else people are reacting to, right?
Yes.
And like yesterday, I went to the doctor for my sleep apnea, and I haven't even talked to you about that. I know you knew I had that appointment. And so I had been being treated for sleep apnea with a holistic dentist, and we did some stuff to kind of open up my airway, and it took a couple years to go through all this stuff. I was really trying to avoid not getting on a CPAP. And so finally I'm now to the point where I'm like, I need more sleep than I'm getting. The stuff we did helped with a lot of other things that I had going on with my breathing and stuff, but it's still not keeping me from waking up every couple hours. So I had this appointment, and then I realized, oh, they're going to want me to do a sleep study. And I've already done that with the holistic dentist. So I was looking all weekend for the stuff, couldn't find the stuff. Monday, contacted the place and said, can you send me the sleep study again? Long story short, of much contact with them, and they were finally like, we can give it to you on a thumb drive. Can you come down and get it? By this point, this was now the morning of my appointment. My appointment was at 3. I had a call from 10 to 12. I had a client call at 2 that was like 30 minutes before. I had like 2 hours, right? So I go and I drive this 25 minutes to this other place to get my thumb drive, drive right back. Don't look at it or anything because I'm trying to do all the other things I got to do. I go to this appointment. On the way there, I'm on the phone with my niece trying to squeeze in that call with her because my brother is in ICU, and that's a whole nother story. He's had health problems for a long time, and it got really bad, and he had he actually coded, and they resuscitated him, and he's on an intubator or whatever, ventilator, and they have him sedated, and I don't know what's going on with that, and he's anyway, so that's a whole nother thing in my mind, right? And I've had a lot of health issues with my big family. I'm the youngest, right? So all the people older than me, I've seen their escalating health issues and them not taking care of themselves, and how that has created crisis in their lives. And I've had, of the youngest, I'm the youngest of 9. I've lost 3 siblings. So I know what happens when you don't deal with crisis, right? So all of this is coming up. I go in, I go to this appointment, and the first thing they do is they have you get on the scale. Well, I just went to the doctor 2 months ago and I've gained another 5 pounds. I've always been someone who weight has not been an issue. And in the last couple of years, I've seen my weight go up and up every time I go to the doctor. And that's not good for your health, right? So there's this part of me that's like, I'm not going to be a slave to the scale numbers. I'm not going to, da da da. But yet there's also a part of me that's like, this is a health issue. It's getting worse. Sleep apnea and weight become a cycle, right? The more you don't sleep, the more you gain weight. The more you gain weight, the more you don't sleep. And so this whole thing is happening, and then I get in there and find out that the thumbnail that I have with this sleep study does not have the sleep study. It has like all my other records. And now by the time we've realized all of that,
Uh,
office, that other dentist office closed at 3, so they can't even contact them.
mm,
So she starts to tell me all the things that can happen now, and they all involve waiting and waiting. And literally, she starts very nicely explaining these different scenarios. And I'm so caught up in I did all of these things the right way.
mhm.
I did it, and it's still, why is nothing working? And oh my God, I still don't know when I'm going to get relief. And I'm in this crisis mode in my mind, and I cannot focus on what she's saying. And she's trying to tell me what I need to do next. And I'm literally standing there, and I said, are you going to call me and tell me this again? And I got so scared for a minute. I literally started to tear up.
Mhm.
And she was so kind, but I was like, I literally said to her, I'm really a smart person. I can't follow what you're saying right now. And it was so like, like I didn't want, I don't know how to even explain it, but I was in this place of bringing in all this stuff of what's happening with my brother and what's happened with my family and my own other health stuff, and just the way I had tried to tell them. I didn't think they needed to put it on a thumbnail. It's just the sleep study info bubble, and nobody listened to me, right? And this whole feeling of so much stuff going on. And I walked out of there and I literally was like, how is this happening for me? Everything's happening for me. What is this? What is this here to bring me? And I was like, okay, what are you going to do now? Are you going to go home? And then I realized I missed a turn thinking about whether I was going to go home because, you go different ways all the time for different stuff. And I was like, okay, no, you're going to go this way, and you're going to go finally get some more organic black peppercorns, because I only buy organic black peppercorns, and you can only buy them at the one Indian market down here that isn't just a little thing, right? So I drive down to the store, and they're out of them again. And I'm like, seriously? I drove all this way over here, special, and you're out of this. Really?
Mhm.
And then I come back and I hit the traffic in front of the 2 schools that let out.
Mhm.
What should have been 10 minutes becomes a 30-minute drive home. And I was just like, okay, clearly I'm supposed to just not be home yet. And I kept doing, it's kind of like you, like I kept regulating and saying, but all these things. And I realized that when I came home, like, my husband's like, so how'd your appointment go? And I was like, how do
Ugh.
I even begin to unpack this? Because all of it felt like there was so much stuff going on inside me, right? And so realizing how far I've come in like none of those, okay, maybe the stuff with my brother, that was a really big thing, but none of those things in and of themselves sound like really big things. But it was just so much piled on, right? And then I felt like, wow, if this had been a day of mine 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, I'd have been losing my mind on people. I know that about me. I mean, I would have been, raging in my car. I would have come home, thrown something when I walked in. I would have opened a bottle of wine or something, and I would have just started ranting to my husband about it. But I realized I'd been able to, and it's not about repressing it. It's not about this is fine as a dull burning. It's about being able to realize something is going to come out of this, and I can just keep doing the next step. I can just keep moving forward in whatever way feels right, whatever it is, and just, not get caught up in the trying to fix it all.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was my Saturn Sun Kazemi day yesterday in gate 22, the gate of grace,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yesterday, well, we switched, I think, yesterday, right, into the
Over at
third.
7 o'clock last night, but before that was when we had that precise moment of the Sun Saturn Cazimi, and like sometime
All
maybe
of that.
in the
Yeah.
afternoon,
Feeling
right
the
before
grace.
that.
So,
Right.
first off, I want to send you a big hug. Like, that's a lot. That
Yeah.
is so much, and sending you so much love, and sending everybody so much love that's going through so much, right? And starting with that place of compassion of like, this is a lot.
And
This
that's not even mentioning all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world right now. Like I can't even look like, yeah. And
yeah,
it's hard because
it's a
people put
lot.
it on
And
their
there's
stories too. And you're like, I'm trying not to see all this. So now I can't even look at your story because it's all right. Because
all, yeah, but it's almost there's like this feeling to this energy where it's how do I want to say this? Like getting you to that point where it's trying to push you and see how far you can go. Like how much can you take? How much can we do? And working on that resiliency piece
yeah.
that you get to go, okay, this happened and let it go. And that capacity to hold that, to hold all of that. It's again, it's that thing where it's testing your car. Is this car ready to go road ready? Is it ready for that next level of something? Is it ready? Is this building ready for the next level of this foundation where it can hold firmly when the storm comes? Let's send a bit of that storm to test that foundation, to test that next level you've built, that it will withstand and can go through what's coming. And simultaneously, again, that deep, deep, deep compassion for yourself to go, holy shit, this is a lot. This is a lot. Like just your brother in and of himself, like that experience, that's a lot. That is so much to hold and to experience and to go through, compounded with the fact of your sleep schedule, because when you're tired, everything is just so much harder, right? Um, and just moving through that experience with compassion for yourself, and celebrating beautiful spaces like this where we get to share and go, it's hard. Like
And it's
sometimes
also
it's
really
really
important to have that compassion with others too, because even when I was in that moment and I was at the doctor and I was checking out, and the woman came over and started to tell me like some really frustrating other stuff that like was going to be more, and I couldn't hide how I was feeling about it. And I was like, this is not, I know this is not your doing or whatever. I said, I'm just really overwhelmed by all of this right now. And I'm not
Mhm,
saying it's yours to fix. I
mhm.
just am saying this is the place I'm at right now. And
Where
sometimes just informing people of where you're at, and then not, and letting them know you're not asking them to fix it. Because
yes.
we have this thing where we think we're supposed to fix things for everybody, right? And I think that's where a lot of this stuff with Venus is coming up, where it's like, I can have my stuff and be hurting.
Mhm.
And if I don't ask you to help me fix it,
Yeah,
don't
and
try to help me fix it, because a lot of times it makes it worse, right?
you just need that space to share, and that's beautiful. I had a really long conversation with a friend yesterday, and there was such beauty in Jonathan just said, I find it hard to be human because gate 36 makes me feel so emotional. And there's such a beauty in that, feeling your emotions and being true to who you are and going, this is what I'm experiencing right now. And I was chatting with him and I told him, I was like, I'm experiencing a lot of fear right now. And I the things I'm doing and I'm signing up for, and I see the creation of them and where they're going, but I feel so small right now. And I go, how can I hold this? And it feels like there's different parts of me. And he joked and he's like, well, there's three parts because I'm triple split. And I was like, just the smallness in me feels like, how can I do this? And then leaning into, there is that support, and getting to share with somebody in that vulnerable place of going, I'm kind of scared right now. And then seeing how that opens the door for that other person to go, hey, so I feel like this, right? And to be able to share your humanness, that we are experiencing these different things, these different fears, these different inadequacies, these different, pains or suffer, whatever it is we're going through, but you get to share that with somebody by being vulnerable, by sharing that
Yeah.
story. Like, that was beautiful for you to share that, right? With us, to be, to share, and for us to be here with you. And that opens the door for other people to go, not from a place of victimhood, because nowhere in that story were you going, I'm a victim and life is out to get me. And, it was like, hey, it's kind of hard right now. These are the things in my life. And so finding those spaces and those and people that support you through
Mhm.
that authentic version of you. And that's the beauty in the crisis, is to find how incredibly supported we really, 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 truly are.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate you and all of this. And I want to say to Jonathan that gate 36 and you being emotional makes you even more human, right?
Mm.
Because being emotional is part of what makes us human. And I know it's hard, especially for a man, right? Men are taught, they're conditioned we're all conditioned to not show our emotions unless they're happy emotions or things that make other people feel good. But this is where this whole idea of our emotions are ours. And so when you feel emotional, um, other people can feel like they're supposed to do something about it. So if you can be emotional in a way that just says, hey, this is how I'm feeling, but this is mine, and I'm not asking for you to fix it, like maybe not in those exact words, but maybe in those exact words, depending on who it is. And I also want to say, I started to say that Richard Corbett and I had this great interview, and when we were talking, I looked at his chart and I was like, oh my God, you're the transit chart, because he has the 3536 and he has the gate 22, and I think he has the 59/6 if I'm remembering right. But he had so many of the activations that we're talking about right now. He might not have the whole 59/6. I don't remember without looking at, but we talked about what that was like for him as a man. He's a 6'2" now off the roof, and he's a very manly man. I mean, they live on a sailboat in the Sea of Cortez now, and he used to be in the, I forget which branch of the services he was in, but he was a military dude. He was very, you know, very much the adventurer, right? That whole gate 30 or channel 3536 is all about adventure in there. But he talks about not knowing what to do with his emotions as a man. And so I think that, that's part of this shift we're going through, is all of us being able to have emotions and have empathy for other people's emotions, but not responsibility. And one of the things I'm really actively working on is not using language like you make me feel, right? And not because I am the one who controls how I feel and how I respond, right? There's that a bit, who is it that says that, um, is it Viktor Frankl or was it Stephen Covey that said in between stimulus and response is that ability to choose
That window, yeah.
a little bit, right? To choose your response.
Mhm.
So looking at that is really the whole thing right now. That's really what we're looking at. So I also want to say, while I'm thinking of it, I'll put the link in the comments. There's a really good masterclass that Karen Curry Parker is doing today at 2:30 Eastern, so 1:30. It's listed as 1:30 Central because that's what time zone she's on. And there's a lot of somatic work and tapping to work through all this that she talks about in this 2-day course. It's a pretty intensive thing, and it's the piece that she's using to introduce her quantum alignment system to people. And I really believe that system, when I trained in that system, was one of the biggest shifts in my own ability to self-regulate. And there's a lot of different ways people learn to self-regulate, a lot of somatic things out there. But I'm just saying, if it's something where you're feeling a lot of stuff and you feel like some support would be good, I'll put the link in there so you can sign up for that and check that out. So
yeah, recognizing the nervous system right now is
right.
like such a, oh my goodness, like I deeply feel that the nervous system right now, there's such a level of needing to regulate and coming back to who we are. And, there is that window of opportunity, but realizing if we've been living in the habit for so long of reacting, we're working against that habit. And we're starting to pave that new pathway when we're starting to not react. It's not just okay, I'm deciding I'm not going to react, right? It's you're starting on a dirt paved road and you're working against the highway that is your habit of reacting. And so just finding that awareness of going, there was that moment I could have potentially chosen to respond instead of react.
Yeah.
Slowly starting to move over, because it's not an easy thing, especially, and when you're dysregulated, it's a whole different ball game, because then
That's
you're
when you have the out of body experience like I had in that situation with my husband, where I was like, "Ooh, what are you doing there?"
and that's it too, right? You are not your emotions.
Right.
You are not your emotions. And especially as a child, having that defined, a lot of times people are even like, "Oof, you're too emotional." But that's just the emotions in you moving, and that's a natural, beautiful part of who you are. It's just potentially they didn't have the capacity, which is neither right or wrong. Sometimes I don't have the capacity to hold all of that space, right? But it's not that person. It's you are experiencing that wave of your emotions. So yes, you're having those emotions and you are responsible for what you do with them, absolutely, but you are not your emotions. And just also again to, reiterate, this was a guy friend I was talking to, completely platonic, like really good guy friend. And having that conversation with him was amazing. It was so nice. So to find those people where you can have those conversations about your emotions, but not ever dumping them on someone. And I saw a really good a reel about this where somebody's stressed out and they're holding the ball of like anger, and then they see like their husband and they throw it at them, and then he's holding it and then he throws it at the kid, and then the kid throws it at the other kid. And where we can take, when we have this anger or we have these emotions within us, and then we're like, get it out, move it, and we can displace it onto other people. And that's what we want to try and avoid. But if we get to that place, like when I yelled at my kids in the road, after I apologized and I said, it is not okay for me to talk to you like that. Is not okay to yell. I was dysregulated, but it is also not okay, obviously, to do what you're doing. So having compassion with yourself and repairing and starting to shift to get to that place where it's not such an overwhelm of the emotions, and honoring your body when your body's like, slow down right now. And right now, especially, is such a beautiful time to slow down, to work on that regulation.
Yeah, that was really beautiful. I was thinking about what the second, like my head just starts going off and you're talking about this reel and I'm like, oh, maybe they could do a reel where instead of the person throwing the thing, the other person came up and like basically like showed them where to put it. But then I feel like, no, that's still them taking responsibility for the other person's emotions. So maybe
Right
that.
now, yes, right now, I would like to, between you and I would like to make a code word where if you feel like I'm dumping my emotions on you or I'm bringing something at you, what would you like to say to me?
Hmm, I don't know. Where you're bringing something at me? I don't know. It needs to be something funny.
Something and funny is better because that
Right,
switches it, right? That
right.
helps to move
Yeah.
it. That helps to move that energy so that if we're ever in a situation and it's like, whoa, you're bringing like something at me,
Moana. I don't know.
Moana. You can say
Right? I'll
Moana,
say if I
right?
can
And then
remember. But see, I'll be
Moana.
like, wait a minute. What was the name of that princess thing that that's how my brain will work, right?
Hold
Right?
on, let me
Yeah.
Google.
Right? Exactly.
That's
Moana.
our friendship.
Yeah.
I love it. So saying Moana and finding that in the places and
Moana is the one that means family, right?
I have no idea.
I think it means family because now that you said that, I think that my family's Facebook page has the picture of her. No, it has the one from Lilo and Stitch. Isn't, and it says Moana means family.
Ocean or sea.
Oh, so maybe that's not the word I'm thinking of. I don't know. I'll have to go look at my family's Facebook page and the cover thing because my niece who set it up is very much another living Disney princess.
Ohana.
Ohana, that's what it is.
Ohana's family.
There
Yeah.
you go.
I think
Ohana.
yeah, that's Lilo and Stitch, right?
Yep, that is.
Ohana.
That's why I
Yeah.
said I think it
Yeah.
was from Lilo
Yeah.
and Stitch. Ohana, I don't know. I don't speak any of those whatever languages. Those what is that? What would you call that? Polynesian languages or something?
Hawaiian, I guess. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Is that what it is? Okay. I don't, is the language actually called Hawaiian? I think there's a different name to it. What is the name of the language that the Hawaiian indigenous people speak?
Well, so it says it's telling me here the Hawaiian word for is Ohana, right?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
the
So I
Hawaiian
guess
word.
it
So
would
what's
be
the language? The language, I guess, would be
Hawaiian, I guess, if they use the Hawaiian word. Okay. We have gone over our time quite a little bit here, and I know so.
Polynesian. You're
Right.
right. It's Polynesian.
Polynesian, yeah. Okay. So I really valued this, and I would like to thank everybody who shared here and anybody who's watching this later in the replays, feel free to add your little comments, thoughts, whatever. And we're going to be doing our next one. When did we say? I should look at this beforehand next time. Do you have it handy?
I can look real quick.
Let's see. It's probably 6 days from now, but we have it on the calendar. Okay, so Tuesday, March 12th or March 18th, I'm
18th.
sorry,
Yeah, 18th.
at noon
Mhm.
is when we're doing the next one. So, and that will be as you mentioned, the sun in gate 25 and the earth in gate 46. So 25 is a bridging gate for me. It bridges my split, one of my splits, and I have the 46 to find. So that's my design Mercury. So what about you? Do you have either of those energies in your chart?
Yeah, 25 is my Mars, my design Mars.
Ah, is it your design or personality Mars? I'm not looking at your chart.
No, it's my design Mars.
Okay, so that's your core wound.
It's
Ooh.
my core wounding, and I feel that because I think well, we can talk about that next time.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk, maybe we'll talk a little bit about core wound and what that all means. So oh, Lisa says she has the 2551 channel. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
All right.
I'm hanging.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm really grateful for all of you, all of this, and now you've seen the robe. Now you have a visual to go with it, right? The
I
robe
love
that
it.
withstood the fire. So,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Peace out.
Bye.
I can't remember how to, there we go. Stop streaming.
Right.
Stop streaming. Was never ending.